That morning, my sister texted me one line that ended 15 years of family peace. I'm quitting my job. You'll take care of us while I figure things out. No hello, no hesitation. No apology tucked between the words. Just certainty typed with the ease of someone who had never once wondered how rent got paid or groceries showed up in the fridge. I stared at the message longer than I should have, watching the typing bubbles appear and vanish, like she was hovering on the other side of the screen, waiting for confirmation. My hands were still damp from the sink. I just finished washing the last plate from the night before. Dinner I'd cooked because she and Mom were too tired. The kitchen smelled faintly of soap and leftovers, the quiet kind of aftermath that usually followed my effort. And now she wanted more. Not asked for it, claimed it. I dried my hands slowly on a towel, breathing in through my nose, steadying myself. Then I typed 4 words I'd never allowed myself to use before. That's not on me. I didn't reread it. I didn't soften it. I hit send, then I opened my laptop, scrolled past unread messages, and found the contract sitting patiently in my inbox, untouched but waiting. I signed it without hesitation. 10 minutes later, the confirmation appeared, overseas position confirmed. It wasn't reckless. I'd been circling that decision for months. But my sister's text, that assumption, that was the final shove. By the time I closed the laptop, my phone buzzed again. Mom, and what she sent next didn't just test my patience. It forced me into a choice I'd been avoiding for years: blood or freedom. Before we go further, tell me, have you ever been the responsible one who finally said no? Because when people say family keeps you grounded, they never talk about how heavy the ground feels when you're the one holding everyone upright. My name's Emma Pierce. I'm 32, operations manager. The human version of a spreadsheet. If something breaks, I fix it. If something's missing, I cover it. That's how my parents described me, the stable one. What they really meant was the one who never refuses. From the outside, our family dinners looked warm. Roast in the oven. Football murmuring from the living room. Candles flickering against framed photos of vacations we'd only managed because my credit card filled the gaps. But beneath that calm surface, everything was calculated. My time, my money. My emotional bandwidth. Mom would pass the bread and sigh softly. You know, your sister's creative spirit just needs a little support right now. Translation: Jenna had another dream that came with a bill. Dad would grunt behind his beer. Emma, grab the check, will you? Like it was tradition, etched into stone. Jenna would smile, hair perfect, voice sweet, like she'd earned the subsidy just by existing. I paid quietly, insurance, vet bills for a dog I'd never met. Emergency expenses that somehow never ended. My phone filled with reminders labeled family bills. For a long time, that list made me proud. It meant I was reliable, needed, the glue. Lately though, that glue felt more like cuffs. Mom liked to say things even out in the end. She never noticed that even always meant I bled a little more so everyone else could stay clean. I kept telling myself it was temporary. Jenna would grow up, find direction, stand on her own. Then came her text. And something inside me cracked, not loudly, not dramatically. Just enough to let the truth through. I didn't respond again. But within minutes, Mom's messages poured in. Emma, don't be selfish. She's under so much pressure. You don't understand how hard this is for her. Pressure. Jenna was trying to be an influencer. Posting filtered brunches I paid for. Tagging brands that never replied. Meanwhile, I was pulling 12-hour days, holding an entire department together. That night, they showed up at my apartment. No call, just the sound of a key turning in the lock. Mom's spare, meant for emergencies. Jenna dropped onto my couch like it belonged to her. Relax, she said. It's just until I figure things out. I looked at her. You mean until I pay for everything again? Mom gave me that tight smile. The one she always used before emotional leverage. Sweetheart, it's family. You don't turn your back on family. I wanted to ask why family kept turning theirs on me. Instead, I stayed quiet. Silence had always been safer. For a week, I lived with ghosts. They ate my food, took up space, called me ungrateful when I asked about rent, Jenna networked online all day. Mom watched reruns on my couch. I stayed late at work just to delay going home. Then came Tuesday night. I walked in to find my work laptop open. Jenna scrolling through my emails. "What are you doing?" I asked. She didn't even look embarrassed. "Checking flight details. Thought I'd come with you when you move overseas. Fresh start, right?" My voice came out lower than I expected. "You're not coming." Mom turned from the kitchen. "Emma, don't be cruel. She's your sister." "No," I said. "She's a grown woman who's been using me as her safety net for 10 years. Jenna laughed. Actually laughed. "You think you did this on your own? You wouldn't even have that job without Mom's connections." Something in me went still. Not angry. Not wounded. Just finished. "Okay," I said. "If that's what you believe." The next morning I left early. I went straight to HR, asked for my relocation paperwork to be expedited, and added one final note. Contact change effective immediately. By Friday, my lease was up. I didn't renew it. I booked a storage unit, packed what mattered, and left a single envelope on the kitchen counter. It said, "This month's rent is paid." After that, "You're on your own." When I boarded the plane that weekend, I didn't feel relief. Just weightlessness. The kind you get when you finally stop carrying everyone else's gravity. 2 weeks later, Mom called. I didn't answer. Then came the message that started it all over again. "Emma, your sister's struggling. You need to send money. She's your family." I stared at the screen, then typed 3 words. "No tanamore, Mom," but that wasn't the end, because a month later I got a letter, not from Jenna, not from Mom, but from a lawyer. And that's where things really began to unravel. The letter arrived on a Wednesday morning. No return address, just my name printed in cold black ink. I tore it open, expecting maybe a bank form or a relocation document. Instead, I found a legal notice. Notice of intent to claim financial support from family member Pierce Emma. My first thought was, this had to be a joke. But Theaterny's seal was real. Jenna's name was right there in bold. She'd filed a claim stating that she was financially dependent on me, that I'd promised said content support, and that my sudden abandonment had left her in hardship. I laughed. Not the kind of laugh that means funny. More the kind that fills an empty room because silence might make you scream. I read it again. Then once more it wasn't fake. She'd actually tried to legally make me responsible for her laziness. For a few minutes, I just sat there in the small apartment of my new city. Bare walls, suitcase still half unpacked. Ocean breeze humming through the balcony door and let it sink in. Then I did what I've always done best. I made a plan. The next morning, I called the law of FICE listed on the document. A young voice answered. "Pierce case?" she asked. "Yes," I said. "I'm Emma Pierce." "I'd like to respond." Her tone changed. "Oh, Miss Pierce, your mother is listed as a witness for the claimant." "Of course she is." "Thank you," I said calmly. "Please let the attorney know I'll be representing myself." And then I went to work. Not my job, my quiet, patient revenge. For years, I'd been the one paying for everyone else. My name was on receipts, on bills, on transfers. Now, that paper trail was about to tell mystery. I spent nights after work collecting screenshots, payment records, old messages. Every "can you cover this in just until I get paid" text Geneva sent by the end of the week. I had a folder so thick it could hold a decade off guilt. When the hearing date arrived, I walked into the small courtroom alone. Mom and Jenna were already there. Jen in her soft pink sweater pretending to look fragile. Mom sitting beside her, arms crossed, expression rehearsed. Jenna smiled when she saw me. That same syrup sweet smile. "Emma," she whispered, "you didn't have to come. We could have handled this privately." I looked at her. "You tried that for 15 years. The judge entered. We stood and then finally it began. Jenna's lawyer started with sympathy, painting her as the struggling sister abandoned overseas by her successful sibling. Mom nodded dramatically, dabbing fake tears. When it was my turn, I didn't raise my voice. I didn't even look at them. I simply handed the judge a stack of documents. Your Honor, I say quietly. These show every payment I made in my sister's behalf over the last 10 years. Rent, medical, tuition, car repairs, pet care, travel, all voluntary. No contract, no agreement, just family generosity. The judge flipped through the pages, his eyebrows glimmering higher with each one. Jenna shifted in her seat. Mom's hands stopped moving. Then came the final page. A bank transfer from me to Jenna dated 2 months ere I left. The memo line read, "Final help. After this, you're on your own." The room went quiet. The judge looked up. "Miss Pierce, I see no legal obligation here. In fact, the record shows consistent financial support from you to the claimant." Case dismissed. Head on to Jenna. "And Miss Pierce, I advise you not to misuse family relations for personal gain again." I didn't smile. I just nodded, gathered my things, and left. Mom called that night. I let eye tiring. Then another message came through. "Emma, how could you humiliate your sister like that?" I stared at it for a long second, then deleted it. A few days later, I received a letter, this time from the bank. It was confirmation that joint account Mom once opened for emergencies was now fully in my name, apparently. She'd forgotten who'd been depositing into it all these years. There was enough money there to cover a new start. Not from them, from me. It transferred it to a savings account, closed every shared card, and changed every number. Months passed. My work overseas flourished. I learned the art of quiet mornings, coffee without phone calls, weekends without guilt. Then one day, an email came from an unknown address. Subject line: "You were right." It was from Jenna. She wrote, "I thought you were cruel for walking away, but I get it now. No one's coming to save me. I finally got a job. It's small, but it's mine." I read it twice, then closed my laptop. No anger, no triumph, just peace. Because revenge, I'd realized, isn't always about payback. Sometimes it's just the moment to stop letting them make you smaller. And as I watched the sun sink behind the glass towers of my new city, I smiled for the first time in a long time. Not because I won, but because I finally stopped losing.